4, testing 1, testing 2, testing 3, testing 1, 2, 3, 4. Say something, Chad, please.
Hello.
Oh yeah, that's good. Go ahead, Alan.
What the hell were you just doing?
It's like a not quite beatbox. It was a scat box.
I was gonna say it sounded like you were scatting.
It was a scat
really,
box.
Not really beatboxing.
I used to scat quite a bit back in the day.
What?
By necessity, but then because it's super fun. So anyway, as you know, I like a good test. So here we are, Saber Martial Arts Podcast. We are in the home dojo, if you will, of a sort of newly developed, but not a new member of the community, a newly developed good friend of ours, Chad, Darth Nonymous from Terra Prime Light Armory. How are you?
And USA Life.
And
yes.
USA
Life
right,
Fencing,
and that's why we're here right now. So,
yes.
How are you, sir?
Pretty good.
I mean, it's been like 2 hours since we last saw you. No, I mean it's been we just keep telling each other like it's really been like a really incredible
Fun time.
Yeah.
Great.
And we are learning a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And after all this, we've all had a long time doing this, and it's a lot more to learn every day.
Yeah.
So you've developed and curated this USA light fencing concept. Start riffing.
Yeah.
Tell us all about it.
Well, it's our NGB, so our national governing body for the sport, and that will allow us to interact more with like the FFE and the other international fencing organizations and stuff like that, so that we can start really getting this become a worldwide sport. Yeah. Right now, the main places are here, Hong Kong, and France. Right, mm-hmm. France has had their second national tournament. They've had one international event, hopefully we're going to have have more of those events next year. We've had our first national tournament here
In Michigan.
No, we did it at Capital Clash in Washington D.C.
And that was last year.
Last year, yeah, and we've been invited back too, so we'll be doing it again at that event.
When is that?
I don't know what the dates are. It's inauguration weekend, though.
Yeah. So January.
It'll be January and I don't remember exactly the date. Yeah. But it's the same as for.
So that might be something I can actually go to.
Yeah, it would. Yeah,
my parents are 2 hours from Washington D.C. So,
mm-hmm.
Yeah. My wife is due with her 4th child in February. So January is like, can I get away? I don't know, but we'd sure like to somehow get maybe do a show with you after the fact, or.
Well, yeah, I mean, the fact of the matter is after you guys finish this particular process, you guys will be pretty much the first official coaches for USA Light Fencing.
Hell yeah!
So you can create, hopefully, teams and just train athletes who can come to this and compete in the national tournament in January.
And that's the biggest thing for me, because where I live right now, I mean, I'm sure it's true everywhere right now, but getting people involved is tough. Mm-hmm. So, but being able to train an individual or a couple people and then send them to you or send them to that's really attractive to me.
Yeah, now we're going to start having events and tournaments, which are going to obviously be more motivation for people to do this.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yep. And it helps you. It helps you and the governing bodies if people get some experience.
Well, right,
where they live right now.
and that's the thing for if we want this to kind of evolve into an Olympic type sport, right? We need to do some of the organizational footwork.
Yeah.
Right. So there's so many hoops that you have to jump through, and everything establishing a sport like this. So, yeah.
Can you expound upon establishing the sport? Because I mean, a ton of people
They
have been
might go,
trying.
oh, we know
So
all about establishing lightsaber. Well, it's different.
Yeah. What we're talking about is establishing an official kind of international
standard, right?
Standard, kind of standard for the sport, so that people from the different countries can do.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously, the end goal could be something, because if you want something to be even looked at by the IOC, the International Olympic Committee, you have to have a certain number of countries doing it. Right. So that there's
and that specific way of doing it.
Right. Well, you have to have some sort of way to come there. Now,
Just curious, what is that number? Do you know?
I don't remember what the number is, but obviously it is more than we have.
Right.
Like between the three major places here. But I am talking to somebody in Chile.
Very cool.
I think we might be able to kind of get into some there. And as we kind of expand this, and this weekend has been a good testing ground for me.
Man, it's been fun.
Yeah, it's
because
tons of fun.
Teaching professional instructors is different than teaching students.
Yes.
Right. And so now we have the proof of concept and stuff like that. I should be able to start putting a lot of this stuff online so that people can do at least parts of it online. Mm-hmm. Right. And through video or what have you. So it'll be easier. And then we'll have pop-up places, during events that people can do the practical aspects of this
and get certified in on the spot sort of thing.
Not necessarily.
Or maybe
you would have to do the stuff like the other stuff before.
Right.
And then you would do your practical stuff at these events. So I'm going to be starting to talk with USA Fencing and see if we can't piggyback on some of their events, so that while they have an event and we've got a lot of people who might be interested in that, they can just
start handing them
this. Because if you ever go to one of these fencing tournaments, they have a lot of these kind of little workshops kind of out there. So hopefully we'll be able to get that going too. So it'll be much easier for people to get involved and stuff like that, because we would like to get a nice big pool of athletes to compete in January and June. And I know it's not a lot of time, but
sure,
hey, we'll try to.
We'll see what we can do as well. You never know who we might be able to send you at least get you in contact with, so you can start testing out some of the online certification or online education.
Oh yeah, we got I got a few people who are definitely interested in that, but so
we'd love to share some of that network with you. And
so to answer your previous question, sport must be widely practiced by men in at least 75 countries and on 4 continents, and by women in no fewer than 40 countries on 3 continents to be an Olympic sport.
Wow.
Yes.
To be submitted for the Olympics.
Wow.
Right.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
Yes, it is. So it has
one at a time. One at a time.
Yeah, exactly.
You should see Chad's face, people who are listening, when I said that's a lot.
Yeah, I mean that's what I keep.
It's a labor of love, though. I mean, it truly is.
Yes, it's a long haul, definitely. But
absolutely, it has taken a lot of time just to get to this point.
Oh yeah, absolutely, yeah. So back. My student, Cedric Giroux, is the author of the rule sets that we have, and he had been, and he took our system of pedagogy and everything like that and applied it to that, and that made the perfect kind of in universe type of thing, and then that was when we were able to get in with the FFE, and they came in. I went over to Paris in 2019.
Is that long ago?
Yes, because it was right before COVID, and then that was the thing that kind of stalled us, because we are all set
as it
to
did
be
with everyone.
Yeah, I think we were all set to present. I think it was at the
2020.
No, the Junior National.
Oh, okay.
No, not the Junior National. It was the Junior International. It was through the FFE, so it was international. It was huge. We were presented that, and then COVID shut it down.
Right, of course,
and then of course, the 3 years of stuff. So we're now getting back on track, and we're all getting through there. So
well, yeah, you had. Well, Alan and I were saying yesterday, like, look at that. It was so cool that his students showed up for class. All like, I mean, it's hard to get people to show up for class. Not that we didn't think they would for you, but it was like, there they are, Saturday, ready to go.
Yeah.
And that is a really cool thing to see after the COVID situation.
And we trained,
head off with a
and we
lightsaber.
trained from noon to 5 basically, yesterday.
Yes,
Yeah,
so
a little break for
with a little
lunch.
lunch break.
Little lunch break, but it was that's the thing though. Is like a lot of times, people can't even carve out an hour for their own training.
Or
Right.
the hour they carve out is not productive.
Yeah.
right, exactly.
But it was very cool to see. Like, also everybody was very happy to be there. Everybody was willing to help us. Try to understand a new concept and understand that. And a lot of them were just like, there's this, and the other thing. And then we were like, oh, yeah, that's right. We have to shut off that part of our brain that says, hit them first.
Right. Yeah,
Right.
Exactly.
And that's such a useful training tool just as a martial arts exercise.
Yeah.
But when you're gaming, following the rules is its own exercise.
Yes. Yeah.
And it was really fun to learn new rules and play by those rules. Because we've played with other rule sets before from other organizations. And that's why we generally just keep going back to first touch saber tag style fighting. Because it's the most... I don't know that it really is, but it's the most close to martial arts. But
I would say it's the most intuitive.
Right.
Right. So it's the easiest one to
just start playing lightsabers with.
Right, and to get people to understand.
Right.
But this was a fun way, because I'm not a real competitive person.
Sure.
It was easy to kind of feel slightly more competitive
Sure.
with this rule set, because the stakes were such that I wanted to win, but I didn't feel bad losing, because the points can happen so quickly, and you're really impressed sometimes with, like, you think having to arm and whatnot, it would give them all the time in the world to react. It really doesn't. It doesn't add that much reaction time at all. And you still have to be on your game and moving fast. And then people can still score like spinning moves and stuff with that little extra time they have, that tiny quarter of a second. Now you can do a spinning move in combat.
Yeah.
Right.
And we saw a couple scored yesterday.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. You did a couple of them that were very nice.
I just really wanted to try, because you started the day with spinning attacks.
Well, yeah, that's exactly
Right
what
out of
we
the
did.
gate, having fun. We were grinning from ear to ear.
Yeah. Well, and this is the thing. I mean, when like you guys, I have done all kinds of rule sets, and like we were talking about, HEMA tournaments have a different rule set every single.
Well, that's where you
tournament
start.
that
You can
go.
find these videos on the Terra Prime library.
So I've been I've been in these rule sets for forever, and I was skeptical of the priority too, right? Cedric said, just follow it.
So that was his
follow
idea,
it.
not your idea.
Well, yeah, no, he came from, and he took it from a sport of French stick fighting.
Yes.
Oh yes, Savat.
No,
not Savat.
Cane combat.
Con combat.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I did know that.
Yeah,
I remember that.
Yeah,
in an
and if
article that
you've
was
ever
written.
seen that sport, it is really showy and flashy.
Yes,
and,
yes.
They're constantly doing like flips.
Whippy and flippy.
Yeah, it's definitely more the Yoda Ataru, as people would
It's
say.
fun. It's fun to watch.
Yeah. So he took the concepts from that, because it allowed them to do those things.
Yeah.
Right, specifically, and then he basically took those things from our body of stuff, and so that, and I, quite frankly, the rule set that he had come up with and all of that is to my opinion, is one of the best rule sets I have used.
Sure.
In my thing, it's just so much fun.
Yeah.
Right.
It's a lot more intuitive than some of the gamier rule sets that we were familiar with.
Yeah, like we started with like really complicated, like trying to do the marks of contact, the scoring thing, but it just took so long, and it was just so inefficient and everything like that. And then you always get into the facts, like how do you get people to defend, right? So it's not just double.
Right.
That is maybe the biggest takeaway I had is you are forced to parry. You don't even get a point when you score in the middle of it.
Right.
So while it's still like a good martial arts practice sometimes to like it's like just your instincts coming out. In other words,
Right.
you can still kind of suppress those instincts to have
Right.
fun with the game.
Right.
Right. Like there was a couple of times that I think you took the opportunity and
Interrupt.
You hit just before their attack finished.
Right.
That's the timing issue.
Yeah.
That's like
difficult.
standard continuous fighting or point fighting
Right.
timing.
But basically you see the opening, you immediately go
Right,
for it.
right,
You
right.
have to wait for that
have to
attack
wait.
to finish, and then
But it made it fun for me because I love a good choreography session
Yeah.
or movie duel or even just like my friend Andy and I just take the lightsabers, go out into the front yard. If
And
you tap, you keep going.
and
Forced to play.
Yeah, exactly. And it really, for me, it brings you, or brings me, like more into it.
Yes.
Right?
yes.
Because I have to keep track of priority and,
the
figure
point
out all
values
that kind
are
of stuff.
not super different, but there's 3 different point values. That's
Yeah.
enough for your monkey brain to keep track of.
Right, yeah. And all you got to really know is, the deeper you go into the target area, the more points you're going to
Yeah,
get. So it's very intuitive that way.
I'm also a fan of the continuous time because
yes.
there's a lot of times where there's no clock involved and a fight can be forever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So just because of the nature of the fighters or whatnot. But I like the fact that this is engaging. Like you are forced to engage. You literally have an engagement strike.
Forced to
Right,
engage,
yeah.
forced to defend, forced to trade.
Yes.
But also, while trading and doing all these things and keeping your timing right,
Yeah.
you have to be faster than them during your priority.
Right.
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 Which is like a lot more challenging than I was ready for.
Yeah.
Yeah. In playing with this version of the game is definitely a fun departure from Saber tag, as we like to call it.
Yes.
It's very much like, yes, you could be faster than me, but your hit doesn't count if you don't address my attack.
Yes.
Right.
And that's the thing we see a lot of is like suicide attacks.
Suicide attacks.
Yeah, or
Well, you
We call
you
it
say
fireballing.
doubles, but
fireballing.
we call it
Okay,
fireballing.
okay.
fireballing. I
Yeah,
like
so that came from when I was doing game testing with the BattleTech, if you remember the
Oh,
big-
okay.
Oh, yes,
okay.
yes.
And one of the techniques was fireballing, which is you see somebody who's kind of like on the edge, and you just
Run at them.
You just shoot all of your weapons, and you get right into their legs, and then you blow up, and then your splash damage kills them.
Yeah.
It's a lot like a double leg, blast double leg.
So that I applied that to the suicide attack. It's
Yeah.
like no fireballing.
Yeah.
But suicide attacks in a lot of systems win tournaments, and
Right.
Well, of course.
we're trying to fight that as people who appreciate the art side
Right.
of martial
Well,
arts.
Well,
Yeah.
here's the thing. Like, there's all this argument over like what sport is about and fairness in sport and everything.
Sure,
like
sure,
that.
sure.
And it's like fairness really isn't the goal of sport,
No.
right? Fairness is a aspect of the goal of sport,
Sure.
right? And fairness comes into
It's
we
like
want
part of the
things to be
vehicle.
fair because we want a good game.
Yes.
We want to see two people go at it. We don't want to know what the outcome is. We want to
don't
be
want
on the
first-
edge of our seat.
First minute knockout is not
right.
what we're
We want to
interested
be. We want to be like and we want to see two people fighting for it. Right.
Right,
Like
yes.
that they're so evenly matched that it's not just a boom and it's over.
Right.
It's who's going to get it? Who's going to get it?
Yeah.
Right. Like that's what sports about.
Yes,
That's what all
yes,
that kind
yes.
of stuff is about.
Yeah. The uncertainty.
And I think a lot of people, especially in martial arts, especially in this, because we very rarely have an audience,
Yeah.
right? And it's all doing for us,
Yeah, yeah.
So we do what feels
Yes.
right or whatever, And this, this is a fun. It takes all that kind of stuff kind of out of it because you can throw realism out the window, so
Right.
you don't even concern yourself with like,
Yeah,
oh,
it's a
is this gonna-
lightsaber.
is this-
Remember, you're
yeah.
holding a lightsaber. Yeah.
Exactly,
Yeah.
right. Remember, this is not a real thing.
Yeah.
Now, that being said, real skills apply.
Absolutely.
Right?
Well, in all the real aspects, if you have priority, that's like the parenthetical, right?
Yeah.
If you have priority, all the aspects of the lightsaber still apply.
Right.
Yeah.
if you hit the hilt, you get a point. If you hit the hand, you get a point. If you, you get more points for hitting things that would make it harder for them to keep holding that lightsaber.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Speaking of that, one of the things I really enjoy is that like strong attacks, like uncontrolled attacks, are taken into account, because if you hit the blade when you parry, right, and he throws through your parry and hits you, that doesn't count.
It doesn't count.
It doesn't count.
And in a lot of tournaments, it would, just because they see, oh, it hit. Yeah, we're going.
Right.
Point.
Now that we do have maul parries, so we do. If you do not sufficiently parry, like if your parry doesn't,
Weak,
and it's
wimpy,
usually
and floppy.
basically, does it hit the body before your blade?
Right,
you know?
right.
Sometimes it can be close, sure, but most of the time it's okay.
Yeah.
But if you're constantly hitting through somebody's parry, you are probably going to be at least given a warning for
You're
a heavy
hitting too
hit.
hard.
Right.
Yeah, it's like
that's
rein
what I
it
really
in,
like. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
That's what I really like about it, because it creates the control within the system versus, I dented your fencing helmet because I hit first and fast, right?
Right.
Well, and coming in as guests, of course, we don't want to like try and go hard with anybody.
Yeah.
Like we're trying to just play with everybody
Sure.
and get to know people, right? So I had that match with Mason, you said, and I was talking to Alan about it. I was like, I didn't really realize like it was going that hard. I was just kind of trying to groove and see what happened. Yeah. He came up to me, so sweet, man. He came up to me after. He's like, I was hitting you too hard. I'm so sorry. Going through your parries and stuff. But I understood because he was talking to us about like his HEMA background and stuff, and he'd done other things before.
Right.
So it's like,
he had to turn off his HEMA switch.
yeah, he had to turn on, and we were doing the same thing. We were hitting people first. And,
Yeah. Well, it's a thing.
Stabbing people.
Right. Yeah.
Well, that was the thing, is like when you do some different sets and certain rules and stuff, that's what you got to do, right?
Yeah.
And it's important as a athlete, as a competitor, to play by the rules. And the reason I like this is because a lot of the stuff that is usually a problem is in the rules. To be like, no, that's not. You're not rewarded for that behavior.
Right. We've even got real quick before we gotta start the day.
Yeah. Sorry, we'll do something.
That's okay. Yeah, an outro later, but is we also have within the rules the salvo.
Yes.
Which,
oh my gosh, so
which
much
teaches
fun.
you don't let your guard down just because you got hit.
Yes.
Neither one of us scored a single one, but we got scored on with so many of them.
Well, no, it takes time. In fact, when we first started integrating that rule, Frank and I, when we would spar, we would start the match out with salvo.
Yeah.
To say, remember salvo, because we'd always get a hit and then we'd walk away and go,
Yeah.
So it's difficult to remember because you're not used to that. You're used to taking the hit and okay, it's done.
Well, also because of the rallies, you're so used to, I have priority, you have priority, I have priority, you have priority. As soon as you hit somebody, you're like,
So we'll talk about more these hot topics and things we talked about before. What I want to do, actually, I was thinking about this while we were recording. I want to do a commentary with you some night soon with the footage that we recorded yesterday.
Oh, awesome.
So we'll do that. We got to wrap up for now. Thank you, everyone, for listening to this bonus episode, and we will get back with you as soon as we can.
This part's over.